Hit me. Figuratively.
I was getting ready to come across the table.
I'll ask you, how you've done a lot of TV, you've done a lot of movies. Contrast the experience.
Someone once said that movies are like oil painting and TV is like watercolor. The turnover time in TV is a lot faster. Movies, you have a lot more time to perfect everything. TV, it's sometimes by the time you're into your third draft, it's time to go. So on one hand, that time constraint is harder, but also sometimes I think it's better to not overthink everything and go with your first instincts. But television also, you get a chance to revisit characters and have characters grow and change over the course of the season. That's already happened in our first season. We've had a couple actors come in and really blow us away, and we thought, oh, they're amazing, let's bring them back 4 or 5 episodes later.
So in looking at the original version of the pilot to what viewers will actually see, what do you think is the biggest change in terms of where the show is going now versus where the show might have been going when they saw the trailer back in May at the Up?
Well, when we first started adapting Constantine, I think there was some concern with the audience that we needed a character that was the audience's point of view who wasn't part of this world. And so we created a character that was not part of the comic books named Liv to embody that point of view. We made the pilot, and Lucy, who played her, did a great job, but as we started breaking the subsequent stories, we thought it would be much more interesting and challenging if someone were more of that world. And having seen the pilot, we were able to convince NBC that maybe we should go in that direction, so we selected a character named Zed, who's also from the comic books. And she has a really interesting backstory herself. She's not a blank slate. She's got a lot of mysteries, and she was able to go toe-to-toe more with John, and it just made for some more interesting dynamics. It's not... I think with John and Liv, John was sort of the cut-up, and Liv was the straight man or straight woman, and with Zed, they flip-flop those roles, and it's just more interesting.
You've worked on a lot of different comic book adaptations. When you approached doing Constantine compared to some of the more superhero properties, was there a difference in how you needed to approach the characters themselves, or did it kind of just evolve the same way?
Sure. I mean, John doesn't have any superpowers. He's not a billionaire. He's not an alien from another planet. Mm-hmm. He's just a regular bloke. Yeah. He doesn't have a costume. He doesn't have a secret identity. If someone arrests him and throws him in jail, he's in trouble, and that does happen in the first season. He can't just swoop in and have someone expunge his record. It's kind of interesting after having written Batman and Superman to write someone who doesn't have access to those powers or that infinite amount of wealth to help him out. Also, he's not a hero. I mean, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And it's really refreshing to write a character that's a jerk.
So you're focused... I'm sorry.
We saw the helmet of Dr. Fate in
Did you?
the
No.
pilot screening there on Thursday. And how far is Constantine going to delve into the mythology that's being established within the comics?
Well, should we continue on long enough, the plan is that we kind of have access to the broader occult DC universe. So even within the first 12 episodes, you'll see 2 or 3 characters show up that aren't part of Hellblazer proper, that are part of the larger DC universe. And the plan is that eventually someone will show up on John's doorstep coming to collect that helmet.
Well, actually, then my question is a perfect follow-up, because you're dealing with a supernatural version of the universe in a number of projects, so it's a very different approach than taking maybe a more straightforward superhero kind of based in science fiction, but still the real world. How is it to envision things in that way?
It's a really refreshing change of pace. It's nice to be doing something that's scary. It's nice to be doing something that's a bit more fun. Funny. I don't want to say more fun. Batman and Superman were a tremendous amount of fun. I'm a huge fan of John's roots. He was created in the 80s with a real punk sensibility, and we've actually licensed a lot of punk songs in the show. I'm proud to say, I don't know if this is a first or not, but we licensed a Sex Pistols song for episode 3, so
Nice.
that's pretty fun to have John Constantine listening to Sex Pistols. I think he listens to Buzzcocks in episode 3 as well.
Such bands, Gang of
Yeah.
Four.
Not yet, but hopefully we'll get there. Maybe some Cramps and Dead Kennedys.
When there's such a rich pool of characters that you can pull from, how do you decide which ones you're going to bring into the story and when is a good time?
It's story based, so we don't say, okay, we're going to do a story about Dr. Occult, and I'm not saying we have done a story about Dr. Occult per se. We talk about where it would be good for the story to go, or come up with an idea for a story, and then we think, well, if there's an appropriate character in the DC universe that fits with, then it makes sort of, sense, in a, organic way to bring that character in. And that's how Jib Corrigan entered the show as a recurring character, because we had a need for a homicide detective, and we thought, okay, let's bring in Corrigan.
And Hellblazer's such a long-running series. There's so much there's so many storylines to choose from, so many different runs. Do you have a particular favorite storyline from Hellblazer?
I have a lot of favorite storylines, and I will say, even though the first season loosely tracks American Gothic, we've already adapted within the first 12 episodes a couple of other singular issues. We're trying to do a version of one of the Delano issues early on right now, and we did a really cool version of the Hunger Demon issue. That's actually one of our better episodes, I think, so far.
Do you have a
Yeah.
How soon do we learn more about Chaz?
9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll turn over some cards relating to him.
Do you have a hell of a comic book art collection?
A hell of a comic book artist.
Bad choice of words, but you get my point. You must have.
I've got
collected
some
great-
choice pages. I've got some cool
Good
artwork.
shit, I bet.
Yeah, I've got some good stuff.
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh Lord, contemporary or old school Kirby. Can't beat Kirby.
And contemporary.
I really like Steve Rude a lot.
Oh, very good choice.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
All right, let me get one quick picture of you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. It was good to catch up.